intimate portrait.
The first thing I wanted to be in the very beginning was a country singer, a country star.
Tanya Tucker was born to sing. At 6, her daddy nicknamed her Little Miss Cheatin' Heart for the way she belted out Hank Williams tunes in the family's trailer home. By 13, she'd had her first hit song, Delta Dawn. Now everybody with a radio knew who she was. Today, 25 years later, she's one of country music's biggest stars ever. Her path to fame was one that few could have endured. There was sacrifice, rejection, and hard times. Once her father gambled everything the family had for a chance to make Tanya a star. He lost, but even that didn't stop her. She kept on going until she reached her destiny. At 16, she signed a contract for nearly $2 million, only to end up like a fallen angel, mired in every character flaw, from the quicksand of drugs and alcohol to the dark side of love. Amid the gold records and Grammy nominations, Tanya faced various situations that could have ended her career. But whether it was drugs, a highly publicized affair with Glenn Campbell, or her darkest hours alone at the Betty Ford Center, she always came back, stronger than before.
Well, pain comes in all shapes and forms. I mean, and everybody has his own.
I'm proud to say I've known and worked with her over the years. She's an inspiration to all and a miracle of survival, blessed with the love of her 2 children and wiser now than ever. Sure proof that whatever doesn't kill you will make you stronger. Now, in her own words and from those who know her best, Tanya Tucker, an intimate portrait next. Dusty panhandle town near New Mexico. Her parents, Juanita and Bo, already had 2 children, Don and La Costa. Times were hard, money was scarce, and the only thing that kept the family going was the power of love and the devotion of her parents.
It would be easy to say that they were simply a poor family, and indeed they didn't have much money. But what they did have was a father, Bo Tucker, who was capable of earning money almost anywhere he went. It wasn't that he was ever out of work when he didn't want to be out of work. He could do a multitude of things. He was a pilot, he was an oil rigger, he did construction work, so he could always find work.
Tanya's father was always on the lookout for a way to make better money, and when he heard of a job digging water wells 400 miles away, he moved with the family in tow to Wilcox, Arizona.
And we lived in a 12 by 50 trailer out in Wilcox, Arizona, and out on Fort Bragg Road, and on a couple acres. And my sister would wash the dishes, I'd dry. We'd always fight about it. We was going to wash and he was going to dry. And we would sing, and we'd watch the Lawrence Welk show. We watched Dean Martin. We'd seen a little action on television, and especially the Lennon Sisters. So we'd harmonize and do while we did the dishes.
From the very first time she started to sing, Tanya's voice was incredible. Her throaty sound alienated her from schoolmates, but not from her family.
And then around 7 or 8, I realized that it was something I could get attention, and it seemed to make everybody happy when I did it. And I enjoyed it. It was something I felt confident about doing. And so it came pretty easy for me. But the first thing I wanted to be in the very beginning was a country singer, a country star. And that was what I wanted to be. And not knowing what that entailed or what that would bring forth. You know, I wasn't into singing, "Here comes Peter Cottontail," or "How much is that dog in the window," like most kids my age. But I really liked it. I liked to sing them cheating, fighting, drinking songs.
Tanya's father first considered her big sister La Costa to be the family talent. But the more Bo Tucker encouraged La Costa, the harder her little sister Tanya tried to outshine her.
I remember one night walking up to him and I said, "Dad, I want to sing you a song." And he said, "Well, you couldn't sing your way out of a paper sack, you know." And I said, "Well, I want to sing you a Hank Williams song, too." That was really it. I mean, that was, he said, "Man, no woman should ever touch a Hank Williams song, ever. It's been done." And I read back and sang Your Cheating Heart, and with all my vibrato and probably sound like a little billy goat, but he seemed to see something there and hear something. And so from that day on, we never really stopped, I don't guess. And when my dad asked me at 9, across the table, he just asked me, you know, you want to be a country star, or you want to be normal and go to school and get married and do all those kinds of things, and live here in Wilcox, Arizona? And I said, no way, I want to be a country star. I want to be a country singer. I look back and it's hard for me to believe that my dad could have this, we could have coinciding dreams.
Bo and his daughters decided that they needed to visit Nashville, talk to a few people, audition, and come home with a contract. Bo also thought they should arrive looking like they were stars already, so he made one payment on a slightly used Cadillac.
Of course, it kind of backfired on us when we got back, or when we got to Nashville, because he's thinking, well, these people are going to think we're rich. They need to think we're poor, man. So we park a block down the road and then walk into like RCA or Columbia. And if somebody at the front stopped my dad, they would just go, I'm sorry, sir, you can't go back there. And he'd say, well, you know, I'm sorry, but I got a daughter that needs to be heard. And somebody in this damn place is going to hear her. Where's Chet?
After 3 days, Bo had tried to see every important executive in Nashville and had struck out. It was tougher than he expected, and now he was feeling at a loss. As tough as that was, Tanya's 9-year-old excitement was bubbling over. She had had enough of visiting offices and wanted to see the sights. Bo sized up the situation differently.
And so he stopped at the Walk of Fame over by the Hall of Fame Museum and explained to her very carefully that if she ever wanted to see her name on those stars, she was going to have to get a little bit different attitude.
I feel like without my family, there would be no me. And that's what keeps me strong, though, is the family foundation. Started there, that began there, and it'll end there. And they've given up a lot so I could prevail and I could be successful. And if I'm successful, we're all successful.
Yeah, I'm sure it was very hard for her dad many times because of her age, her being so young, and also Tanya knows in her mind what she wants, and even at that early age, I think she would have rebelled if it hadn't been something that she really wanted to do. And Bo knew that. I mean, he just knew how to push Tanya and how not to, and he was very, very good with her, because I don't know how many fathers would have gone through what he has gone through, for her to become successful.
Back in Phoenix, Tanya's golden voice earned her a role as a regular cast member on the Lou King Rangers show, a local show that had featured such stars as Wayne Newton and Marty Robbins. But 8 months later, Bo got a job at $9 an hour in St. George, Utah, and moved the family again. From there, he'd planned Tanya's next career move. St. George was a Mormon community, and for the first time in her life, Tanya enjoyed school. No one teased her about her teeth or her wanting to be a singer. And now, at the age of 10, she met her first boyfriend, though she was embarrassed to bring him home to the 18 by 50-foot trailer with an outside shower.
So now you see that this is not my home. I've got, my dream home is nowhere near this, and this is not my dream, and this is not where I'm going to be. But he said, Tanya, he said, I don't like you for your home. I don't care about where you live. He said, I care about you. And I wrote my first song about it when I left St. George and moved to Las Vegas. It was called I Miss You, Darling. And I miss you, darling, more and more each day. I love you, darling, in most every way. And it wasn't my fault that I had to say goodbye. Oh, darling, please say you love me too, or something like that.
Leaving a love behind was just one painful price Tanya had to pay for her success. Soon she learned there would be plenty of others, and that in life things were often darkest before the dawn. In Tanya's case, Delta Dawn. The song that would make her a star was just around the bend. I'm Pam Tillis. We now return to Tanya Tucker, An Intimate Portrait. Bo Tucker knew a lot of little girls' dreams don't come true without sweat and toil. Bo worked as hard as Tanya to get a contract. He tried Los Angeles just as he had tried Nashville, but still no deal. He became convinced that $25,000 would launch the publicity that Tanya needed to get attention. To raise the cash, Bo sold everything he owned and drove to Las Vegas. But after 48 hours of continuous gambling, Bo was broke, down to the last $100 to his name. For the first time in his life, Bo couldn't pay the rent. So with nothing to turn to, he moved the family to Las Vegas, where Tanya could get exposure. At her first talent show, Tanya got the attention she wanted despite the fact she nearly missed out when her car ran out of gas. Bo had to barter a tire iron to get there. Once on stage, Tanya knocked them dead. Before the night was over, there was a contract with her name on it. It looked like success at last, but Bo turned it down. If he signed, he'd have to leave Tanya's career to someone else. Stardom or not, Bo refused. Tanya was still his little girl, and she needed her daddy. There had to be another way.
I think had it not been for Bo Tucker, Tanya would have probably either self-destructed or been consumed by this business a long time ago. He seems to be the one consistent factor in her life that she always can turn around and put her trust in him. And I believe he fights for Tanya. I believe he's one of the few people on this planet that does.
Tanya was going to get her chance at fame. It might be delayed, but it wouldn't be denied. Her fortunes took a leap forward when a Nashville producer named Billy Sherrill, in Las Vegas to gamble, took an interest in Tanya and placed a bet on her talent. It was the golden opportunity she had waited for her entire life.
I think the key to all of that is the fact that Billy Sherrill is such a music man. He's much more a music man than he is a businessman. He's also a very big gambler. He loves a gamble. And for him to see a little girl with that voice, as he put it, a little girl with a vibrato, more vibrato than Kitty Wells, was a challenge to him, and he loved the voice. He knew that he could do something with that voice, but he also is the kind of producer who doesn't want to even talk about anything unless he's got the right song.
The right song was Delta Dawn. Powered by Tanya's extraordinary voice, Sherrill was ready to put money down on a 1 in a million chance.
When he played Delta Dawn to me, I heard Alex Harvey, his original demo. And it just started out, she's 41 and her daddy still calls her baby. Just a guitar demo. And I said, that's my song. And he goes, well, come on, man, let's go get on the piano and work out a key, and let's go in and cut it tomorrow. And so we went over to the piano and in a little alcove in his office there, and we got a key, which was B flat, always has been. And he says, why don't we start out with a chorus? I think it might be cool to just do it a cappella, which I didn't know what a cappella meant. And I thought meter was something you stuck a nickel in.
Those years of preparing his daughter for hard work and pressure was about to meet its greatest test.
I remember going into the studio because Billy Sherrill and I had a session to work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was recording, and I heard this voice. I was just totally amazed at the sound that came out of the big, heavy sound that came out of that little body, and especially to be 13 years old.
She walked into a situation in a studio with the greatest musicians in the world. Any concerns they might have had were dispelled the second she started to sing. Billy has said she was one of the quickest studies he has ever worked with, and he's worked with some formidable talent. She walks into the studio and she belts the song out. One of the most natural stylists that
The years of hard work and sacrifice paid off more than anyone could have guessed. Delta Dawn became a #1 song in 12 weeks. 13-year-old Tanya Tucker was a star at last.
But I never forget when Billy Sherrill said to me, he had his feet propped up on the desk and had a scotch and water in one hand and a Winston in the other, and he said, now what are we going to do? That's the kicker. We cut this great record and you got a big hit record, and I'm going, I do? Some of the places I've been in lately doesn't look like I got anything that's a hit record. But he said, now following it, that's going to be the problem. Because everybody's going to say, you ain't going to be able to do it. But that never bothered me. If they said I couldn't do it, that's just all the more reason that I would.
In the years ahead, Bo drove his daughter from one show to another. It was Tanya and Bo and the music and the fans. For the most part, it was the happiest time in her life, but that would change. Being the celebrity for Tanya was not like she had pictured as a 7-year-old girl. She'd be richer, but life was not any easier. In fact, it was harder and even dangerous. I'm Pam Tillis. We now return to Intimate Portrait. By 13, Tanya Tucker achieved what few ever do in a lifetime. She had a #1 song. But even though her dream had come true, her reality hadn't changed much. Instead of working hard to get noticed, she was working hard to get by. The money was marginal, the hours were long. At 13, her life was riding the road in the back of her dad's station wagon.
It was hard work in those days, but hard work in my day. You know, when I was out there touring with me and my dad, with no band, all using house bands, and here's a 14-year-old kid trying to tell a guitar player what key I'm doing it in, and sometimes I didn't even know that because it was just very difficult to throw your orders around when you're young like that, and especially being a girl. That made it twice as bad.
At the time Tanya started out on the road, she was with her father in an old Oldsmobile station wagon. Tanya having to change clothes into whatever stage costume she had underneath a blanket in the back seat on their way into the show. Very often her stage costumes were a pair of jeans and whatever shirt they could afford that week. They didn't have much money. They didn't get paid much for the shows. A $500 show would be a bonus to them at that time, and that was even with a hit record.
After 3 years on the road, Tanya finally climbed another plateau when fortune caught up with fame. At 16, she signed a contract for nearly $2 million. Now she was rich for real.
But once I moved to MCA Records, and then all the bucks were down, and everybody was real serious. It was big money now. It was like maybe that's where some of the fun stopped for me.
Tanya's success enabled her to provide for the family that believed in her. But now Bo, the man who had made her, was asked to step aside.
And plus he had a goal and he had a dream for his kids and his kids' kids. And at that time, I think he really relinquished a lot of the control because he didn't feel like he really needed it. He didn't feel like that he should have it. I mean, he wanted to put my career in hands of people that have done it for a while. And that, unfortunately, didn't work out either.
Though she had 3 successful albums, the new MCA deal changed the formula. With a new producer, Tanya's next 6 albums came up short. Modest sales brought in a new management team who requested she relocate to California. Tanya moved to Los Angeles away from the watchful eye of her parents. Her new handlers tried anything to sell records, but relied on the oldest of conventions. Her new album had to have a new image on the cover.
They wanted my clothes off. They wanted it to be sexy. They wanted it to be very, very, I don't know, what's the word? Well, risque. I mean, I was fixing to come of age. I was almost 17. I was almost 18 years old. And when I went to do the album cover photo, which I remember very well, it was in L.A., and the guy that did it was very, he was interesting, to say the least. I'm glad someone was with me on that shoot. I don't know who told him what to do, but he had definitely sexy, risque type ideas, and the cord between my legs, and I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I'm up there just trying to do my little thing and get off so I can go to dinner.
I have to tell the story literally. I had this album centerfold. Back then, this is when albums were out. This is before CDs, and of course the album opened up and there was this huge picture of Tanya Tucker in this skin-tight red outfit holding this stick of dynamite, you know. And I thought that was the sexiest thing, man, I had ever seen in my entire life. I thought that was the coolest thing.
I think what happened was, like many girls, 16 and 17 years old, Tanya started wanting to party, wanted to go out with boys, and still her family kept a fairly tight rein on her when they could. But because she was an entertainer who was making her own money, she did have a little more freedom. And unfortunately, she literally lived out her adolescence in a fishbowl. I think most teenage girls who maybe went to a party or so, or would not like that splattered all around the papers. And as Tanya grew a little older, every move she made became tabloid fodder, whether she was actually doing anything wild or not.
Tanya Tucker soon became weary of the shuffling MCA put her through as they floundered for success. Her only relief was to get out on the town.
I think that started all that. It really started that. The disappointment started coming in, but I think mainly I just wanted to have a good time. And L.A. was a hot town. I mean, it put me right over the edge. I said, hell with these people, man. I think I'll just go get drunk, you know. But I think L.A. was, at that time, that was a big thing. Cocaine, alcohol, all you can drink.
By the age of 22, Tanya was on the brink of disaster. For the first time in her life, her music had taken a backseat to a life on the edge. What very nearly carried her over it was her love for Glenn Campbell, a man more than twice her age. I'm Pam Tillis. We now return to Tanya Tucker, An Intimate Portrait. Tanya Tucker keeps time with her own clock. At 7, she decided she wanted to be a country star. At 13, she released her